In this video, I'm going to create this bird feeder here, and it's for relative beginners, though there's a couple of little tricks here and there, so let's go ahead and do that. We'll start by creating this base area here, which is roughly rectangular. Alright, so over here in Blender, I'm going to select the light and hold down Shift, select the camera, and delete them. Select the cube and press Control, hold down Control, and pull up on the Z so it's resting on the ground. Press 7 to look down from the top and go into Tab and Wireframe. Okay, deselect. B to box select these vertices. I'm in number 1 vertice. I'm going to pull these out to about, let's try this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grid positions. Deselect and box select these and pull them into about 2. I'm not snapping, we're just getting this roughly the way we want it, like that. Okay. I'm going to look from 3 from the side and box select these and pull them down till we have about 2 grid units of height there. And let's see if we like that. Versus 3. Let's see what 3 looks like. That might be a little bit too high, but we can see. There's our piece right there. Before we go any further, I'm going to put a bevel on this, on the wrench. Choose bevel. Bring the segments up to 3 and 0.01. Let's look from the top. Alright, my 3D cursor is right in the middle, so let's put a mirror on. That might be a little bit too narrow. So I think I'll go back in, select this piece, and I'm going to bring it out 1 more grid unit. That might be too wide, so we're going to see. Okay, so I've got that so far. I'm going to select it, look from the top, Shift D, and rotate Z 90. So it does that. And go into edit mode. I can look from the top again, and I'm going to pull this down till they just about touch like that. Okay, and I'm going to scale this in the X and pull it in so it looks like that. And again, because these are pieces of wood that are going to be sort of glued and nailed together or bolted together, they don't have to snap perfectly. But that's good enough. And as you can see, they both have the bevel and we have our little rectangle like that. Okay, cool. Let's go on now and make these side pieces here. Like that. And I'll do them possibly the same width or thickness as this. We'll see. My 3D cursor is still right in the middle, so I'm going to go Shift A, Mesh Plane, go into Edit Mode, and I'm going to rotate X 90 to stand it up, and I'm going to pull it out to here. I'm going to press 1, and that's front view, which is actually the side of the thing, but that's okay. I'm going to go into Wireframe. And I'm going to scale this in the X because it's narrower. Right? This piece is narrower than the whole thing. And it's even narrower on the bottom, and then it flares out a little bit. Okay? So I'm going to select these 2 points, and I'm going to pull them up to about the bottom. There. And I think I'm going to scale these in the X more. So it's like that. And then I'll select these points and let me think, go back into solid view, how far out they're going to come. Doesn't look like they come right out to the edges. Let's look at another view of this. It's hard to tell, so we're just going to do this by eye. I'm going to scale these in the X a little bit more. Do something like that. Okay. And now E to extrude, bring it up a little ways, a few grid units, and then SX. Bring it in. Don't worry about how far right now. Just generally get that shape. And I think we maybe have to bring this up a little taller before it comes in. So I'm going to just box select all of those. I'm going to pull the whole thing up. So I got some more height there. Maybe even a bit more. Alright, let's start with that anyhow. Let's box select those 2 vertices. I'm going to merge them in the center. M and center. And I have that. Might even need to come up higher. So I'll go back into edit mode and box select these and pull them up a little bit more. Okay, let's go with that. Select the whole thing. Let's give it some thickness. You can see that this is 2 grid units, so let's press E and try something very similar. Let's select the whole thing and just pull it in a little more snug. It doesn't have to be exactly the same thickness. I'm not sure I want it. Let's put the bevel on there. 3, 0.01. That feels a little thick to me. So I think I'm going to take this piece here, and I think I'm just going to thin it and do something like that. All right, 3D cursor still in the middle. Select this piece, choose mirror and the Y, deselect the X, and so now I have those pieces. Let's make the roof and see how that goes. Shift A, mesh plane. Let's pull it up. It's just about there. Let's look down from the top, and we want this to overhang here, and we also want it to overhang here. So let's go into edit mode. Let's go into wireframe, and let's scale this into Y and pull it out relatively equally, I think, here and here. Let's try that. Now I'm going to split this down the middle. Look from the top, Control R, click to put an edge loop there, and press 1 for vertex selection, and grab these vertices by box selecting X vertices. So I have just that piece there. I'm going to look from number 1, the front, select it all. I'm going to pull it up a little bit more. And I actually want a little bit of space here. I'm going to box select, pull out a little bit. So I'm going to have another piece on the other side. In fact, I'll put the mirror on right now and you'll see that. On the other side, let's go into solid view. See, I've got a space in between. We may have to make that smaller or bigger, we'll see later. Let's select these vertices, look for 1, and I'm going to press G to grab and just pull it down so it's pretty much straight down here, and it's overhanging this piece. So I'm going to press G and pull out. This one comes to this grid unit. Maybe I'll make this one come to about that grid unit, and relatively straight. You can adjust that a bit. Okay, so I have that piece there for my roof. Okay, now is mine looking a little bit? Well, it is pretty long. Okay, that's probably all right. Maybe a little bit short. Scale it. Okay, I'm going to look from the front. I'm going to press E to extrude, Alt S, and push up. And that's going to make it come out with respect to the normal. And just give it some thickness. Just do it by eye. Select it all. I'm going to press G to grab and just pull it down. So it's kind of resting on here. Okay, look from the front. Now this part here, I like the distance between the bottom, but not the top. So I'm going to go into wireframe. I'm going to grab this. I'm just going to pull it in. And then I'm going to box select these, and I want these to be straight. SX0. And I think that might be okay. Let's look at this. I may need a bit more of a gap, but we'll see. Okay, I'm going to put a bevel on this. I'll go for 3. 0.01. And that actually might not be thick enough. We can Alt S again, make it a bit thicker. And then I will have to come back in here in wireframe mode, grab these and pull them in a little bit more. And then if I want to straighten these, grab all of these, SX0 once again. Now, we need a little bit of room in there for a hinge. You see? So, I think in face selection number 3, select there. Look from the front. I think I might need a bit more room. So I'm just going to pull this out a little bit. I can pull this down if I want. That's probably good enough right there. Okay, now we're going to create sort of the groove pattern of the wood here. It looks like there's 1, 2, 3 notches in there. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to select this one, go into edit mode, Control R, roll my mouse up, 3. We could go with 3. Click to select. I've still got them selected. Now watch the bevel on the edges here as I do this. Control B, hold down Shift and pull. See, we lost the bevel, went straight. Pull a bit more. You can see the bevel coming back. Let's go to about there. Deselect. And then in edge selection, number 2, click the top. Edge, hold down Shift. Click those 3 and look from the front again. Now I'm just going to pull these up a little bit, like this. And we will have this effect. Okay. Now, I think that's probably okay. Let's do that central hinge thing. The 3D cursor still right in the middle. Shift A, mesh, cylinder. I think I'll leave the default values here, 32 vertices, and the cap fill is an n-gon. Go into edit mode, select it, rotate X90, pull it up, scale it way down. Now I'm going to scale this in the Y, SY. It's a little easier when it's large, SY again. Doesn't matter how far right now. And now I'm going to scale it again, smaller, but not in the Y. So I'm going to go S and press Shift Y. And that'll make it narrower, but not shorter. Let's try that. Look from the front. Press the period key to zoom in on that. Let's pull it down. Look from the front. I can make it wider. S, Shift Y, not in the Y. Just like that. Maybe I'll pull it down a little bit. Now let's look from the side and in wireframe so we can see the edges. I want this to come to about here, so I'm going to go SY and pull in, hold Shift to go slower, to about there. Deselect, object mode. So I have that piece in there. Now I'm going to select that piece and press the slash key on your keyboard just to isolate that, just to focus on that. Okay. Go into edit mode and Control R and then roll your mouse up a bunch of times. We're going to sort of make it look like the hinge. I just got a bunch of them. Click. And with them still selected, Control B to bevel and pull to create a space. Roll your mouse down if you have extra edges in there, just to about there. Something like that. E, Alt S, and pull down to make it come in. And it'll look like that. Now to make it stand out a bit more, We'll add a bevel. You might be able to get away with one. Right click, shade smooth. You see that? It looks weird, right? So first of all, let's add modifier, weighted normal, and then down at the triangle, choose normal, auto smooth. Now, I don't quite like that yet, so I'm going to come back and I'm going to increase the bevel segments, and I'm going to switch the limit method to angle, and that's what I'm going to get. And that is going to be my hinge. Slash key to bring it back. I don't think I'm going to do the metal piece there right now. It's going to be closed anyhow, so I doubt you're going to even see that. So let's leave that like that. Okay. Now, if we want to smooth this at this point, we can select this, go shade smooth. And I don't know if you can tell that the shading is odd or not. You just get used to it. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'd add weighted normal and auto smooth, and that should look good. And I can do that on all these, but I'm not going to yet because I'll be doing some holes for bolts. And we could go ahead and start doing that now. Let's make sure that we're saving our work. Actually, just before we do that, though, let's make this metal piece down here with the holes. Let's look at another. Okay, this thing here. Okay, so they're not perfect circles. They don't have to be perfect circles. These ones look a little bit elliptical, so that actually works to our advantage here. So I'll show you how we're going to do that. Shift A, mesh plane, not cube. Doesn't matter really. Start with a plane, go to edit mode, look from the top, and then wireframe. I want this to fit in here a little bit better, so I'm going to scale this in the X so that it looks like it's sort of underneath there. I'm going to pull it up so I can see it a little bit better. We could start with that. Okay. All right. We want to create a triangle shape in this, and then some holes. So I'm going to Control R just like that to put it lengthwise, and then Control B, pull it out a little ways like this. Roll your mouse up one to put one right in the middle, and deselect. Select this one, pull it up a little ways. Select the whole thing, pull it down, and imagine that's in there. We'll put some supports for this later. Let me just see how far up we'd want this to come. Maybe a little more, so I'll select this top edge, pull it up a bit more, select the whole thing, and pull it down. All right, so we'll get that effect, and hopefully that'll look okay. Let's just focus on that thing there. Slash key. Okay, now, to create the holes, we're going to create little squares. So I'm going to Control R here and roll my mouse up a bunch of times. And maybe I'll go for that many. How many did I do? I guess I did 12. Now I'm going to come over here, and I want to make squares, as square as I can make them. That looks pretty square. Maybe I'm going to go back and do more than 12. Maybe I'm just going to roll my mouse up like that. Get a whole bunch. Trial and error. Oops. Control R. 2, 3, 4. Let's just go for 4. And do the same thing over here. 4. And this one will just split right in the middle. 1. Alright, so I might have relatively big holes. We'll see. Okay, so we've done that. Now, A to select everything and switch over to face selection. So all the faces are selected. Press I twice, I, hold down Shift and pull in. And we start to get these little squares. Pull in a good amount. These we're going to convert to circles. X faces. We'll delete them first. Go back into object mode. Okay, let's save before we do this next part. Now, I'm going to switch over here and show my statistics. I've got 9,000 vertices. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to come over to the wrench, and I'm going to add a subdivision surface. And you can see it's jumped up to 12. That might be good enough, just one subdivision. But I'm going to try 2, and it's jumped up even more. Save. And before I go any further, I want this to be less rounded. I want it to be almost like it's bent, and it's a bit sharper here. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to turn off the subdivision just on this like monitor. Click so we don't see it. Come in and press 2 for edge selection, and I'm going to hold down shift, and I'm going to select the edge that goes all the way across just at the base of where it goes up. I'm going to do that there and all around this side. Those ones, and then the middle one. Okay, make sure that you've got all of the edge going through selected. Turn subdivision back on, and now go Shift E and pull. And it will go to sort of a pink color. Okay, all the way, that's good. Back into object mode, and we've created sort of a crease on that there. Okay, I want to give this some thickness, so I'm going to add modifier solidify. And that's probably good enough for what I want to do. Make sure we save. Slash key, and we have that. Okay, cool. All right, so let's do the chord that's up here. Okay, can't really tell what happens there. Let's see if I've got a better one. You can sort of see it coming down here. And we'll do something there. Okay. So let's look from the side view here. 3D cursor is right there. That's okay. Let's go Shift A, mesh circle. But before we do anything, let's switch this to let's try 16 vertices. Enter. Let's rotate Y90 so the circle's on its side and pull it up. Let's go into edit mode and press 1 for vertex selection and S to scale it down. Do something like this. Now I want it to be a little bit more of a teardrop kind of shape or water drop kind of shape. So I think what I'll do is I'll select that point, but I want to just pull that one down. To do this, I'm going to turn on proportional editing, and I'm going to pull, and you see I get that white circle. I'm going to scroll my mouse wheel in and pull down. And just adjust the circle. Maybe make it like that. And I'll do that. Okay? Turn it off again though. X vertices. I'm going to delete that vertex. So I have this. Maybe a bit higher. I don't know. Okay. Now I'm going to select both of those points there. I suppose I could mirror this, couldn't I? Maybe we'll do that. No, we'll do it this way. Select both of these points here and press E to extrude. Pull them down. SY. Pull them out. And I can't really see where I'm going here, so I'm going to go into wireframe. Okay, and I'm going to want it to come out here, so SY. Do it like that. Let's press E to extrude it and come down. as if this would rest on there. It'll come down to about there. Okay, let's go into object mode. That's good enough for the moment, and then we can adjust this. Okay, now with that selected, let's press the slash key to focus just on that, and then you'll see that I've got some pretty ugly spots here that aren't very rounded. So let's go back to edit mode, and I'm going to select these two vertices here, and let's bevel them. Because they're just individual points, I'm going to hold Shift, Control, and B instead of just Control B. Shift, Control B, pull, and they'll pull apart. And I'm going to roll my mouse up till I have 5 vertices in there. And we'll do this a similar thing up here. Let's make sure everything's deselected. Shift, Control, B, pull. I'll just do that. Okay. I'm going to select this whole thing, Object, Convert to Curve. Come over to the Curve dialog box. Scroll down to Geometry and Bevel. And under Depth, hold down Shift, click and pull to the right. And that'll give it some thickness, as if we're making like a wire. I'm going to right click and Shade Smooth. Slash key to bring everything back. Oops. Now we'll have a look. All right, it obviously needs to fit in there, so let's make it narrower. Maybe a bit narrower than that. Now, this may be a little bit wide. Control 1 to put on one subdivision surface. And let's see if there's anything I can do for this. Let's box select all of these. Let's try proportional editing, scale in the Y. And do that. And then just box select these and scale in the Y. Something like that. I might want that a little bit thicker. I'm going to go for 13 and see if that looks about right. Maybe more, maybe less. I can adjust this stuff in a bit before I do that. Or no, maybe I'll do that first. Okay, let's look at this here. Make sure it doesn't overlap anything. Let's look from the front and wireframe. And yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to select those and those. And I'm going to scale this in the Y. Let's not turn that off. Scale this in the Y just a little bit out. Just past there. Okay, now Shift A, mesh, cylinder. We can make this probably 18. And let's choose the cap fill of nothing so that it's open. Pull this up here. Go into edit mode and scale it down. We'll scale that. See what we're doing here. Okay. We're going to go into wireframe mode now. Look from the front. And I'm going to pull these in even more. So this is what I've got here. So I think what I'll do is I'll box select here. I'm going to scale these in the Y. And I'm going to pull them down. Just going to position things better. Scale these in the Y. And it doesn't matter what this looks like on the inside, really, because no one's going to see it. But I'm just going to try to make this fit a little bit better. I'll be a little bit careful there because this stuff does connect. I want to do something like that. This can come out, doesn't really matter. And you can decide how much you care about this part, but just to give you an idea of what we're doing here. Okay, let's select this piece. E and Alt-S and pull to make it come in, like that. We can select the whole thing, and we can now scale it in the X. We could flatten it like this. And we can scale the whole thing in the Y a little bit more. So we get this kind of an effect. Okay. Now, let's put a bevel on these edges. So with edge selection, Shift Alt and click here and here, here and here. And Control B, pull, let's roll my mouse back to 0, put 1. That's it. And then Control 1 for one subdivision surface. And I've got that. Okay, hopefully that looks okay. All right, cool. Yeah, that looks just fine like that. All right, let's come down to here and let's go to, let's see. Fill caps, maybe. No, then we're going to see that. I'm not sure if I need that. Okay, now let's do another thing. Mesh circle. Let's go for 16 again. Let's go into edit mode, but this time let's rotate X 90. Pull it out to the side. Scale it down and pull it up. And we'll make something on the side here. Pull that in. Okay, I'll do something like this. Let me think here. All right. How about if we, let's select it all and pull it down. How about if we were to grab these 3 vertices, extrude it up like that, make sure all these vertices are selected. We could just, let's go E and scale it in like that. And then let's give this some thickness. E to extrude, let's pull out. And let's stop and let's switch over here and look at face orientation. See the way this is red and blue? We want to go in and we want to go Alt-N, recalculate outside so it's all blue. That means our polys are facing the right way. I'm actually going to set the origin to geometry on this. Pull it in. Let's see if we give that a subdivision surface and shade smooth. And then we, let's put an edge loop here, Control R and Control B to split it, but roll your mouse back to 0. So we just have 2 edges like that. What if we do that, and then we do the same in the middle, Control B. And then we'll come up here with Control R and put an edge loop up there. Say we had that piece and then just a little cylinder piece. And the way I'm going to do that is, let's see how I want to do this. I'm going to select those 2 points. If you select 2 points of a curve, Shift D, pull it out. I have another one. P, separate it, break it out. Now I have this. I can select this point and move it down in the Z direction. Okay, and now I can change the bevel on this one. I mean, I want to just make it a bit bigger. I'm going to set the origin of geometry on this guy and pull it in. So we have this kind of effect. And maybe even a little bit bigger. do want it to sort of touch the wall there. Okay, so I have that so far. I'm going to take this piece though and I'm going to make it a bit smaller so it looks like it fits. And maybe what we'll then do is, so this is a curve, and I'm going to just convert this to a mesh. And I come into it, I'm going to scale this in the Y and just flatten it out like that. And we'll have that. Okay, pull it down a little bit. So, and if I want to make it look a little bit better, I'm going to look from the front in wireframe 3, and I'm going to go with that. I'm going to delete those top faces. I didn't like how that worked. So now I just have this, and then what I'll do is I'm just going to select that edge, F to make a face. I'll do the same thing on the bottom, and then I can now select those faces, and I can bevel it nicer, like this. Put one, and it'll just look nicer. Okay, and this guy I can maybe go up to 2. I'm not worried about my polys really. And so I've got that. Now let's look from the front here. And then I'm just going to think about this. Let's look back at this. And I think I'm going to need to pull these in like that. And let's see how well that works with the cord. Maybe the cord. No, what we'll do is let's go into edit mode. It's a curve, so I'm gonna just take that point, let's pull it in. Let's see what that looks like. And there, so it kind of looks like it's pushed against there. I didn't do that on that side. I will. But first of all, my 3D cursor is still in the middle. So let's take this, set the origin to the 3D cursor and mirror it. Let's do the same with this. Set the origin to the 3D cursor and mirror that. And then I'll come in here and I'll select that point, and I'll just do what I did a minute ago. I'll just pull that so it sort of looks like it gets squished up against the wall. Okay. It looks to me like the shading might be off on this, so let's try just auto smooth. Could be wrong. We need that. Yeah, that'll help. Okay, so I'll put on that and make sure auto smooth is on. That's good. Very nice. So this is what we have so far. Not thrilled about the width of this thing. I think it should be a little narrower. Let's see if I can do any work on that. Or not. Maybe we'll grab all of this, turn on proportional editing, scale in the Y, and just see how nicely I can do this. I should be able to now, let's turn that off, scale this in the Y. That's okay. That's okay. Now, let's go ahead and turn on the cavity shader. Things will start looking a little nicer. Good. Okay, this piece here is going to need some supports underneath it. So, now, it looks like they go in that direction, which I find odd. Well, we're going to have to go with that. But this one, I don't know. Yeah, so you know what I'm going to do? Is I'm just going to do two supports. I'm going to take this piece here, go into edit mode. Now I'll do an object mode. Shift D to duplicate it and pull it along. And let's take off the mirror here. This butterfly-like thing. Okay. Let's go into edit mode and look from the front. And let's go into wireframe. Number 1, vertex selection, box select. And let's pull this down so it looks like it's sort of right on the bottom of the mesh there. Let's also grab these and make this about 1 grid unit. So it's under there. You don't really see it, but it's under there. Let's go back and grab this face and just pull it up so it's not like flush with the bottom. Like just like that. Select the whole thing though and look from the front in wireframe. And let's scale this in the X so it just looks like it sort of fits in there and is maybe glued in. Actually, we'll probably do a bolt for that. So I got that piece there, right? Okay. Let's look from the front. 3D cursor's right there. So let's add a mirror. And where'd it go? Okay, so what we need to do, you see the way it's out here? Set the origin to the 3D cursor. There we go. So you don't really see them, but they're in there holding that thing. Okay? And that's why we can see these bolts. It looks like there's one in the middle. Maybe not. I'm just going to do the 2. So we need to do the bolts, and then we're close. So let's just start that off here. I'm just looking at this and trying to decide if I want SX and just widen that out a little bit. I feel like I did. Okay, so let's put some holes right there and put some holes all around it. Okay, so we use booleans for this. Bring in the cylinder. I'm going to use 32, using a high number in order to make a hole. I'm going to switch back to N-gon. That'll cover this. Let's rotate X90 and pull it out and scale it down. And then just G to grab, and we're going to figure out where we want to put this, where we want to make a hole. Okay. Scale it down. Go into wireframe to make sure that it's pushing in. That looks fine. Okay. And my 3D cursor is right there, so I'm going to go ahead and press mirror. And I'll get that there. And I'm going to press here. And I'm going to get them on the other side as well. So I'm going to use those to make holes, and I think that's going to be pretty much okay. I'm going to go ahead and apply the mirror. I just want to make sure that everything is blue. Everything is blue. Okay. Select this piece here. And I'm going to do a boolean. I'm going to drag it to the top. I want difference, and with the eyedropper, I'm going to select the cylinder. I'm going to go ahead and click apply. And I'm going to H to hide the cylinders, and you can see I've got some holes. And that's just fine. I'll do screws or bolts later. So for now, that's okay. I'm now going to shade smooth. And then I'm going to come over and do weighted normal and auto smooth. And that should get me what I want. Okay. That's fine. think that'll make any difference. And I do have shade smooth on there. Yes, okay. Good. All right. Alt-H, I can bring those back. I don't think I'm going to use those, so I'm just going to delete them. So I've got the holes ready for some bolts there. And we also want one here and one here. So let's go again. The cylinder, same settings. I might make these a slight different size. I do want these, however, to sort of line up with this. So I'll push that here, and I'll go in the wireframe, and I'll just pull it about there. I'll scale it down a bit. And I'll make sure that actually that's in. Yes. So let's say I did that. And then we'll come over to mirror, there, and there. I'm going to go ahead and apply that. Okay, I'm going to select this piece now and choose Boolean and bring it up. Difference with respect to that. I'm going to apply. I'm going to delete those. I'm going to take this and shade smooth, weighted normal, and auto smooth. As I do these booleans, I lose a little bit of my bevel, and that's just the way that goes. Now for this, I guess the holes are just where the supports are. So we'll do maybe, was it one more set? Then we'll leave it at that. We'll come back next day and we'll finish this up. Rotate Y 90, scale it down. Press G to grab, and I'm going to rest it over the support. Maybe up a bit. No, actually, that's about it, probably. And roughly in the middle of that. Okay. All right, let's mirror this guy. So we got that, and they're in. And we'll try that and make sure that they're in on both sides. Good. We can apply that mirror. Select this piece here. Do a Boolean with respect to these cylinders and apply. And now I've got holes for my screws there. Let's make sure we shade smooth, and we'll do the same thing here. Weighted normal and auto smooth. And that's where we're at. Let's put on the shadow here. Let's just really quickly check our everything. Yep. Okay. Let's turn this off and have a look at our bird feeder. All right. A little bit more to do, not that much. It's looking good. Okay, so let's leave it at that for now, and then we'll come back and we'll finish it up with some screws or bolts. Maybe we'll do the plastic or the glass here. We'll see, and we'll put some wood texture on it.